This video will show you how to use our Medical Workstation Viewer to perform a query and retrieve operation from a remote PACS server and from the workstation's local database. If you have not already performed the steps detailed in the Medical Workstation video, installing setup, you must do so prior to performing the steps outlined here. In this video, I will first describe the layout of the search screen. Next, I'll give a walkthrough of the Medical Workstation's database and server manager. Then I'll illustrate how to add a remote PACS from which to perform query and retrieve operation. And finally, I'll perform a query and retrieve operation from both a remote PACS and from the local database. Let's start off by opening the Medical Workstation Viewer. The first thing you'll see when running the demo is a dialog with a link to our FTP site. If you do not have a DICOM dataset that contains a series stack, you will be unable to generate a 3D volume and use our 3D volume features. Click on the link to download sample datasets containing series stack information. Once you have finished downloading the datasets, click OK to close this dialog. The next dialog you'll see is the Login dialog. Enter the same username and password you entered on the first page of the database configuration demo. The default value is administrator for both the username and password. The first screen you'll see is the search view. At the top of the screen, you'll see items you can use to filter a query. In the upper right-hand corner, you can elect to search from the workstation's local database or from a remote PACS server. The results of the query will be displayed in the Studies and Series areas. On initial install, the local database will be empty. You have the option to populate the database using the Database Manager or by performing a query retrieve operation. Let's look at the Database Manager first. Click on the Service Manager button. This page allows you to manage the workstation's DICOM server. The toolbar at the top allows you to add or remove the server, start, pause, and stop the server, edit the server settings, and check the server's log. It also allows you to manage the server's database. Click on the Query Retrieve Store Configuration button to display the Database Manager dialog. This dialog allows you to add datasets to the database by selecting them individually or using a DICOM dir file. You can also remove a dataset or empty the entire database. The Database Manager allows you to query the database as well. Now let's go back to the search view. Since the local database is empty, we'll have to search from a remote PACS server. As you can see, a remote PACS server was automatically added and configured by our installer. In order for our workstation to perform a query and retrieve operation from a remote PACS, we must allow the remote PACS to talk to our workstation, and the remote PACS must allow us to talk to it. Click on the Service Manager button. As you can see, our installer has already added the remote PACS L17 Server 32 to our workstation server L17WS Server 32. This will allow the workstation server to receive communication from the remote PACS. Now let's add the workstation's client AE title and workstation's server AE title to the remote PACS. This will allow both workstation objects to communicate with the remote PACS. To obtain the workstation's client information, click on the Configuration button. Here you can find the client information. Open the remote PACS configuration utility. As you can see, the installer also added the workstation's client AE title and the workstation's server AE title to the remote PACS. Now that we have ensured both servers are configured, let's perform a query. Go back to the search view in the workstation. And click the search button. You'll see a list of studies and a list of series appear. Right-click on the series and click Add Series to Queue Manager. You'll see in the Queue Manager that we are retrieving the series. Close the Queue Manager and change the source to local database, and perform the search again. You'll see that the dataset you retrieved is now in the local database. You have just completed a query retrieve operation using our Medical Workstation Viewer.